DBS community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super video here with Chris. And today I'm bringing you guys a different, very different type of video. This is actually going to be a leader reveal video. Now this is not a official Bandai leader reveal, so it's not clickbait. It's not something that's actually, being, released by Riot. This is more so my own idea on what a leader could actually be. So with these, you will see some different type of leader ideas that are my own creations that I wanted to make just for content purposes and also discussion purposes. I think it's really fun to talk about this kind of stuff, especially when you can come up with an idea that's interesting enough, competitive enough, and something that people can either get behind or that they can hate, because both positive and negative conversations are good for content because it's still having a conversation. So over the course of the next few months, you guys will see different sort of leaders that I am coming up with, and just giving them some different abilities, some different things that may not be in the game currently, or just my own takes on those, as well as some cards that could possibly work in that archetype. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know if you guys like this sort of series or not, and let me know if there's any certain leaders you'd like to see me work on. I have a pretty big list of leaders that I'm currently trying to develop. Maybe it's already something that's on my list, maybe it's something I can add to my list. So always make sure of that, as well as hit the bell for all the notifications whenever I post content. We post videos weekly, sometimes multiple per day. It just kind of ends up working out that way. So without further ado, we'll get into the first leader, which is going to be ChiChi. Now ChiChi is a leader that has not been in the game currently as a champion or as a leader per se, and she has very few cards actually as well that kind of resonate with ChiChi. So the idea was to create a Blue Earthling leader that has resembles sort of that same style that Launch does, as well as Bulma a little bit, having this Earthling Saiyan sort of archetype that's built around the leader, but as well as being able to be a very resource heavy leader like Launch is. Now the one thing with Bulma and Launch is they're both 5k leaders who go up to 10k, which makes sense with them being high power level characters. Launch, I guess, would be considered a highest power character in Dragon Ball, but the archetype would really focus on a blue and Saiyan focused archetype. Now as you guys will see with the leader, she makes it so that you don't have to play just blue cards. So this is a very versatile leader in the grand scheme of things, but her archetype that comes with it would be a blue eccentric archetype. She has a new awaken condition, which is something called a limit breaker, which we'll go over that once we get into the awaken conditions. And the whole kind of archetype idea is to be around this whole dark power and blue energy, being able to recycle resources and manipulate her resources because she is a blue leader. So she has access to cards like Dimension Magic, Sensu Bean, that sort of thing. So as you can see here, this is ChiChi. She is a 5k Earthling leader, and she has a permanent that says when this card, basically it would say this: when this card is placed in the leader area, this card will count as a mono red Earthling only card in the leader area for cards that require a mono red Earthling only leader. So the idea of this, and you guys will see when I get to the card breakdown, is this card does not count as a red leader. It counts as a mono red Earthling leader for cards that need a mono red Earthling leader. So if you take into consideration cards like the Launch promos, when you combo with them, you can flip a life face up. If your leader is a mono red Earthling only leader, that's what this would count as. So she would count as a mono red Earthling only leader for that sort of that requirement. If she uses a card, like Is That All You Got, which is a red negate, that would not count because you need a red leader. Does it make sense? Probably does. To some people, it probably doesn't make any sense. The idea of it is, because she's a blue Earthling leader, she doesn't have access to any of the red Earthling cards, because a lot of those need a red leader. So the idea was, instead of making her a surge leader, which I feel there's a right and wrong way to do surge leaders, and we'll go over that in a different leader video, but I wanted to give her the ability to use the red mono Earthling cards so she can have a wider variety of cards at her disposal. So her auto, once per turn, when you play a Saiyan or an Earthling card in your battle area, draw a card and switch one energy to active mode. So as you notice, she does not draw when she attacks. being a 5k leader, most of, if not all of the 5k leaders in the game do not draw when they attack. They either draw when they're in combat, like Launch and Hercule, or they draw off of just an active main, which is something that Balma does. This allows them to gain and recur value without having to attack, because their attacks don't really do a lot because they are so weak. So this allows her to, whenever she plays an Earthling or a Saiyan card, on either turn, it's once per turn, but on your opponent's turn and on your turn, you get to draw a card and restand an energy. That is a very, very powerful effect. Now she has two different awakens. So she has a normal awaken, then a limit breaker awaken. So her normal awaken is when she's at 4 life or less, she can draw a card and restand 1 energy. Then she flips this card over. The limit breaker is a specific requirement of being at 5 life. So if you are directly at 5 life, you can pitch a card from your hand into the drop area. If you do, you get to draw 3 cards and you gain 5k power for the duration of the turn. Now this is on offense or on defense. So the idea is, because when she flips, she will be a 10k, obviously with her leader, but this allows her to become a 15k on either her offensive turn or her defensive turn. Now mostly people will probably be doing this on defense because it gives you an extra, almost like a bean in a sense. And the awaken itself, the pitching effect with the life is just sort of a requirement, but you get to draw 3 cards. So essentially she's a draw 2 plus 5k for the turn. And it is pretty powerful. It's a very interesting sort of awakening. It's not something that you have to do. You can awaken at 4 life and just do the normal awaken. Or if you're at 5 life, you have a card in your hand that you want to pitch. You can pitch it, draw 3 new cards, and then gain 5k. So the back side is going to be ChiChi, Mother of Saiyan Supremacy, is what the name is. She's a 10k leader now. Permanent, same thing as before. Now her auto is when you play a Saiyan or an Earthling card in your battle area, you draw 1, then you choose 1. You either switch 2 energy to active mode, or you gain 5k power for the turn. So the idea of this is to have the versatility of being able to do either one. So now you can play a Saiyan or an Earthling, draw the card, and then you can restand 2 energy. So you're sort of a passive version of Soul Striker, and where you are not really having to swing to get that restand 2 and draw 1. You can just play a card, and then you get that card's effect plus your draw 1, and then you get the restand 2 energy. The other one is gaining 5k for the turn, so you can do that now on offense or defense, as to where you can gain more power. So one of the things you can do on this, which is very powerful, is being able to awaken. Let's say you're going for game, or not even going for game, let's say you're trying to play defense, and you flip over using your limit breaker awaken, so you gain 5k, and then let's say you arrival out a card, or you play out a negate, or you play out some sort of Earthling and Saiyan card, then you can draw a card, and then you can also gain an extra 5k. So you can go up to 20k base for the turn, which is much better than having the Sensu Bean twice. It just gives the leader some different versatility. And the idea of this is to create a very generically good Earthling blue leader, which I think is what Launch is for red, where Launch is just extremely good at literally anything. Being able to just just combo with cards, draw cards, and that's a really powerful effect that a lot of leaders don't have the ability to do. So I thought about making a blue version basically of that leader. So that's sort of my overall idea with this ChiChi leader. Now, so we will go into the key cards to use for this leader. And out of all of these cards, there's only one that is not a Earthling or a Saiyan, which is this Android AT card. The reason why I have it on here is because it is the ability to draw 2 cards. This is the only card that doesn't really work with this archetype. It still is a honorable mention card to talk about because it is a tap 3, draw 2, have a 20k. There are other cards that you can do this with as well, but I just felt like this was a very interesting card just to throw in there as an honorable mention. So for some defensive cards, you have Sun Gohan Baby's Minion and Videl, both of these being negates. Gohan technically being a 2-drop on your unawakened side, but being a 1-drop on your awakened side. Being able to, you pay 3 for it, and if you're on your awakened side, you draw a card, and then you can restand 2 energy. So he's basically counts as a 1-drop negate. Now, of course, you have to pay 3 at the beginning to do it anyways, but you see what I'm saying. Videl being a 1-drop negate that you can play, draw a card, and then restand another energy. So she doesn't really actually go away. She grants you almost the same amount of value as something that Balma would. The next one is going to be a defensive card, which is the Great Sandman. This is a deflect, blocker, barrier, revenge guy. Comes down for 3. You get to restand an energy and draw a card. And then when he KOs a card, he switches to active mode. Did he switch this card? Yeah. Yeah, you switch this card, and then you switch another energy to active mode. So in a sense, he can be a 1-drop, in a sense, which is very, very powerful. Another card is Undying Spirit Sun Gohan. This is an arrival card with multicolor. So you can, if you have a multicolor, which you could play multicolor, blue, red, which is it's a good combination. Comes out for 2. You get the bounce of 4 or less back on your opponent's turn, and then you get the restand of blue energy. So on your Awaken turn, he is a free bounce back because you can play him, bounce a card, use this card's auto to restand an energy, and then use your leader ability to draw a card and restand 2 energy. Again, very, very powerful. Oob is a nice little defensive card, being a 1-drop, draw 2, restand 1. Or on your Awaken side, a draw 2, restand 2, which is also very, very powerful. A cool game ender here is At All Cost Vegeta. This card also draws a card and restands an energy. So he is a 4-drop, draw 2, restand 2. And then obviously his damage ability, where you can take damage, you can take life to self-awaken, as well as being able to gain power, and he gets triple strike and a bunch of other cool stuff. And then this page is all red Earthling cards. These two don't really need a mono red Earthling only leader. Actually, this one doesn't either. But these are all just good red options that you can use for this leader. So any of your mono red Earthling cards dies, or a Bulma card, you can play this card out, and then obviously you get to play out a Earthling card from your deck. This is a cool 1-drop. There's also a Burgos, which is the blue version of this, where you can play this out. This is a 1-drop, draw 2, restand 1 that hits blue decks. You have the Ultimate Shinron combination, which this card needs a mono red Earthling only leader for the -3, which plays out this guy. So you can do this combo in here as well. And then you have the launch cards here, which both of these need a mono red Earthling only card with 10k power or less. And since ChiChi falls into that requirement with her permanent, she also can use these cards as well. So that's what I have for you guys today for the ChiChi breakdown. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of these cards and their ideas. If you guys think these are really cool ideas or not, all of that's appreciated. As again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.